Hey everybody, I am going to go ahead and make my first post-op update. I'm sorry it has taken me this long to do it, but honestly today is the first day that I have really started feeling like myself again. Excuse my appearance, I look like death warmed over, but this is what you get. And I'm doing a lot better today, but it has been a pretty rough road to get here. I'm gonna try to quickly run through my experience from beginning up until now and basically just list off some things that I wish I would have known before I had surgery. So as you guys know, I had the vertical sleeve gastrectomy, and before you ask, no, I'm not regretting it, even though I've had issues, because my issues definitely haven't been as bad as a lot of people. I haven't had to go back into the hospital or anything like that, but I have just been miserably ill. But I am feeling better now. So I went in on Tuesday, June 18th for my surgery, and I went to a hospital here in Las Vegas where I live. I'd never been to a hospital here before, so I really didn't know what to expect. But everybody that I dealt with in the bariatric center there they were very nice, very accommodating, so that was comforting. I was the second surgery of the day, so when I got in, we got checked in and everything. I had to be there at 5:30 in the morning. Got checked in, waited a little bit, went into the pre-op area. They asked me for my name, my birthday, and what surgery I was having. They took my blood pressure. I had to do like a urine sample, and they took me over to not a room because I wasn't being admitted, but in that pre-op area they have like 10 beds with the curtains in between them for privacy. They got me into one of those beds. They put on my TET hose, the compression hose that they will put on your legs. There is also another little tool that they put on your legs, and they hook it up to air, and it sort of squeezes your legs and then releases, kind of like how a blood pressure cuff does. And that is just a compression technique to help your blood circulate so that it lessens the chances of a blood clot. So that wasn't so bad. And then they checked my blood sugar, and it was 80, which is really good. I hadn't taken my metformin in a week since I did my pre-op diet. So I was happy about that. The lady that started my IV was really nice. She had a special needle that she uses for diabetics that didn't bruise my hand hardly at all. Right there is my little hole, and you can see there's slight discoloration, but nothing serious whatsoever at all. So I was really happy about that, because usually I have like a monster of a bruise on my hand, and it doesn't hurt. There's no tenderness. It just kind of looks green. And then she gave me a shot in my belly of a certain medication. I can't remember the name, but it was something else to help alleviate the chances of blood clots. And that's all normal procedure. I don't have a blood disorder or anything like that. It's just what they do for you. And they must have asked me 4 or 5 times before I actually went into surgery for my name, my birthday, and what surgery I was having. This is normal. They should be doing this. They know the answers to the questions before they ask them, but they're going to ask you numerous times so that they make sure there are no discrepancies in your files. Everybody's on the same page. Everything says what it's supposed to be. So don't get aggravated with them for asking you that. They should be asking you that. My mom is a registered nurse. She came out here. She got here the day before surgery, so Monday night, and she actually just left today. I was very glad that she was here. Wish she could have stayed longer, but she actually already changed her flight once to stay longer, so she needed to go, get back to work and everything. She told me a couple things to look out for when you are in the hospital, especially if you are going to be admitted and not be outpatient. I was outpatient. I had my surgery at about 9:30 in the morning, and I left around 3 o'clock the same day. But anytime somebody comes into your room or comes into your little area where your bed is, make sure they're wearing gloves. If you don't see them wash their hands, ask them to wash their hands. don't be worried about being rude to people. Just be observant and be thorough, because it is important. So don't hesitate if you are uncomfortable or you feel like somebody is being unhygienic or being mean or rude to you. Don't hesitate to ask people to do certain things or to ask for a different nurse or something like that, because this is surgery, this is serious, and you need to feel comfortable in your environment. So after that, after they got my IV started and all that stuff, they wheeled me over to another little room with fewer beds and had a television and stuff. And oh, before I got wheeled over to that area, the anesthesiologist did come by and talk to me, explain the process and all of that, and he was very nice and very professional, and I felt super comfortable with him. I did actually research him before my surgery and to make sure that he was good. He's got really good reviews. He's been in the business for almost 30 years, so I was comfortable with that. Then after that happened, they took me over to the smaller holding area, still in my gurney, of course wearing the wonderful hospital gown and all that stuff. And we were waiting on the doctor to get there. There was one lady ahead of me who was getting a gastric bypass. She was not feeling very well. She was very nauseated. I spoke to her for just a few minutes. Then the doctor came in and talked to her, made sure she still wanted to go through with surgery, and then he came over to my bed and talked to me, asked me the same questions, made sure I was so comfortable with going through with the surgery, and told me that gastric bypass takes a little bit longer and that he would not be ready for my surgery for about 2 hours. And then they wheeled that lady away to the OR, and she had her surgery. Everything went fine, I found out later. So at that point, my mom and my boyfriend were allowed to come back and wait with me. So they did. They waited with me, and we were just kind of hanging out. Didn't seem like it took that long. And then whenever it was about 30 minutes out from my surgery, the nurse came back and started my antibiotics and just different things like that to get you prepped for surgery. And then they came and got me about half an hour later and wheeled me into the OR, had me scooch from my gurney over to the operating table. And you know, if you've ever had surgery before, they lay you out like Jesus. They got your feet together, all strapped in. You got your arms out like this, all strapped in. And you're laying there like God, and you feel a little crazy. And that's when it all became very real to me, that I'm actually gonna do this. And that's crazy, because I've never had surgery before. And I told my anesthesiologist that the one time that I had local anesthesia, I got very ill. I threw up a lot. He said he was going to give me some different drugs. Turns out it did not matter, because he gave me what he liked to call a champagne cocktail. And that isn't even the hard stuff. That's just the stuff that's supposed to relax you. Well, it put me out. The doctor was going to come in before my surgery and talk to me for a minute. I couldn't even stay awake for that. As soon as he gave me that stuff, I was out like a light. So the next thing I remember was waking up in recovery in a lot of pain, and I almost immediately started vomiting. And when I first vomited, it was very dark brownish red, and I knew it was blood from the taste. So I started freaking out because I was vomiting blood and I couldn't stop puking, and all of the nurses around me were trying to get me to wake up and trying to get me to stop puking. They kept saying, "Try not to puke. They don't want you to puke. Don't puke." And so I thought I was doing harm to myself by becoming ill. So I was very scared, and I couldn't help it. I just kept puking, and I was extremely nauseated, more nauseated than I've ever been in my entire life. And that has continued up until today. Eventually they did get it under control. I ended up having a panic attack because everybody's telling me to stop puking, and I can't stop puking, so I think I'm gonna pop a staple and die, or rip open my incisions or something. I didn't, obviously, but that was my fear, so I got scared and I started crying and I started hyperventilating, and my nurse had to stand there and hold my hand and tell me to breathe. And they finally got me calmed down, finally got my nausea somewhat under control. They maxed me out on all the anti-nausea medication they could give me, and it didn't really help at first. Eventually, I went back to sleep. They took me back to the pre-op area. They wanted me to walk around. I didn't do very well with that. I couldn't go to the bathroom yet. I couldn't take in any fluids yet. So they just let me sleep. And they eventually let my mom and my boyfriend come back there and sit with me. And they were urging me to get up and walk around and go to the bathroom so that I could go home. So eventually I did that. Around 3 o'clock, I was able to go home. I did not feel very well at all. I spent the majority of that evening either sleeping or leaning over a sink trying to puke. A lot of people can just burp up this gas because, you know, they're going to fill you up with gas for your surgery, and they tell you the gas pains are very uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is not the word for it. Absolutely fucking miserable would be a better description. I literally thought I was dying. I really wish, the one thing that I really wish I would have known going into this was a better expectation of just how sick you could possibly feel. I know that everybody is different, and some people may have no issues with this, but I wish they would have said, you know what, some people come through it fine, some people get really sick and want to puke a lot and are extremely nauseated. Because once I started experiencing these problems, everybody assured me that it was totally normal. I wish somebody would have told me that was totally normal before. Because as I'm leaning over the sink, and when I was puking, I wasn't really puking up liquid, I was puking up air. That's how I was dispelling the air, the gas that was inside of me. I couldn't just burp. I literally had to like heave and almost puke it up. And I'm sorry if this is TMI, but I'm just warning you what I went through so that if and when you go through it, you don't freak out like I did. Considering nobody told me that this was a possibility that could happen. Nobody told me that this was completely normal for some people to behave this way. I think there's something wrong. So I start freaking out and start having more panic attacks because I seriously thought I was going to die. And this went on the day that I got home from surgery on the 18th. It went on for the duration of the 19th and for a decent part of yesterday. I continuously was leaning over a sink. They gave me this little guy. It's a little moose. And it's called a cough buddy. And they want you to hold it on your abdominals whenever you cough or sneeze or vomit or whatever, to put pressure on your abdominals to make sure that you're not doing any damage, and you know you've got some leverage there. And that thing was very helpful because I could not stop getting sick. Eventually my mom did get a hold of, on the 19th, they got a hold of my doctor and he prescribed some better anti-nausea medicine. I had Zofran, but it wasn't helping. So they gave me Phenergan, which has helped a lot. They also gave me some Xanax to calm me down. Most people can take Xanax and function. I take Xanax and I go to sleep. So I've only taken 2 of those because there's some pretty serious drugs for me. I'm not used to taking that kind of meds. Obviously, my body does not tolerate medication very well whatsoever at all. So with that being said, I feel better today. But I definitely did not expect to feel as bad as I did. And I really wish that I would have known better what to expect, and that me feeling that way was normal. But I did want to let you guys know about my experience with that, so that if it happens to you, you're not freaking out like I did. And I do feel much better today. And I'm running out of time. So I thank you guys for all of your comments and concerns about my surgery. I apologize for taking so long to get this video up, but from here on in I'll try to make weekly update videos or anytime things have happened. And just to let you know, since June 10th I have lost 18.2 pounds. So all that is going well, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks.